Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode If You Could Hide to Cola podcast. My name's Daniel. This is my brother Clive.
Hello, everybody. Very excited today, Daniel. It's another special episode, but this one, it just takes the cake. We're speaking to someone who, we've discussed before that your knowledge of the Doctrine and Covenants and church history exceeds mine. Now we've found someone that even exceeds that. So I'm very excited.
Well, first of all, it's not hard to exceed mine. let's make that very clear very early.
Okay.
But we are, in fact, today talking to a man by the name of Keith Erickson, who actually works for the church history department. Is a director of the church history department.
Thank you. I'm so pleased to be here.
Great to have you on.
I'm just thrilled to be with you. Thanks for the invitation.
Something you mentioned when you were in that conference that we watched, that the church app holds a lot of information in it. So someone like us, if we want to learn or get to your level of understanding, or as close as we possibly get, is there any other resources we can use? Because sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. So I don't know what I should look for in the app. So is there other resources we can use to go, okay, let's focus on this, let's focus on that?
I might think about it in terms of the methods for learning. So one way to learn about church history would just to do everything in sequence. Start at the beginning and then just try and read it in order. The best place to start there are the Saints volumes. We just published volume 4. They go from 1820 to 2020. They end at the April 2020 General Conference. And so you can read those. There's an audio version that's read by a voice actor, so it's interesting, not just a computer voice.
We're going to audition for the Australian voice
Good.
people. Yeah.
Good. We need an Australian voice, a good one. There's a podcast that goes with it, and it goes chapter by chapter. And in the podcast, we invited in sometimes it's general authorities, sometimes it's people who are working on the project, sometimes it's just other people with knowledge. So that would be one approach. Just start at the beginning, go forward. Another approach would be by topic, and so that could be in the Gospel Library app. You click on church history, and then in there, the Saints ones are at the top. But you scroll down a little bit. There's one called Church History Topics. There's like 250 or more in there, and they're all in alphabetical order. So then you can just, scan over the list and whatever you're interested in, read that one. So I guess another approach, maybe the third approach, would be to start with the sources, the original sources. So they may be, and we've published those in a variety of places, and those are not necessarily in the Gospel Library app. The app tends to be things where we have analyzed original sources and kind of synthesized them and present a summary. But so the Joseph Smith Papers is one place where you can see all of the things that he has had a hand in.
Another question that we had from a listener is: there anyone in the church's history, anyone who might be kind of lesser known, that's had a significant impact, someone that we should, or everyone listening to this podcast or watching this podcast should go and educate themselves on, that we might not necessarily know about?
Oh yeah, millions, I guess, is probably the short answer.
Start with everyone.
Over 200 years. Here's one resource. Well, I'll share a couple of resources that are helpful. In the Gospel Library app, you click on church history, and then there's a thing in there called historical resources. Really boring name, but really bland. Historical resources. But what it is it's aligned with Come Follow Me for this year, for 2025. And so when you open historical resources, you will see the same structure of the week and the Come Follow Me reading assignment. And then each of these in Come Follow Me in the electronic version, there is a link that takes you directly to historical resources. But you can find the whole thing there in the app. But one of the things we have done this year that's new for the historical resources is every single person that's named in the Doctrine and Covenants, there's a biography of them in the historical resources. So you're reading along and it'll just say like, some random guy is called on a mission to someplace and you've never heard of that guy or you've never heard of the place. Well, we've got a little biographical sketch about that guy. So that's one place to start. Just if they're named in the Doctrine and Covenants, you can go there and learn about them. We have another thing called the Biographical Database. You can find this in a search engine, just Latter-day Saint Biographical Database. We basically built a little database platform, and we've been dumping content into it. And so we dumped in all of the overland pioneers. There are about 60,000 of those. We have dumped in the missionaries from the first 100 years of the church's history, everybody that we know who served a mission. And we put in all the people of the Mormon Battalion. And now they're all in the same data set. So you'll find a person and you'll see he served 3 missions and he was in the Mormon Battalion and he immigrated wherever. So that's and then we have sources and authenticated information. So I have to say this a polite way.
Sure.
The information in the database is all authenticated and linked to an original source, which is not the way the information goes into the family search memories or the tree.
I'd love to hear your insights about how should we two questions, I guess, to get a bit of an answer, a bit of a thought from you. How should we go about teaching this year in our Come Follow Me lessons? We get, in church, we get just 2 hours every month to learn about a history that we should be just so incredibly proud of, and that there's so much faith, there's so much testimony building things in our history. So how should we go about teaching that for people who are gospel doctrine teachers? And the other thing is, as students, what should we know? What do you think we should already know going into this year that will help us get the most out of the year?
I think as a teacher, one of the things I've learned is that the most important thing is your students, your audience. So you can't just get up there and say stuff. The first question as you prepare to teach isn't, oh, what stuff should I say? The first question has to be, who's in the room? What do they know already? And what do we do with them now? What do they need from all of the things we might say? What do these people in the room need this week, right now, in our time? So I think teaching really is very social, and it needs to be about the audience and the learners and what you're going to do with what the vast store of information has to mean something. And so how do you decide that? And that could come from many places. It could come from goals that your stake has, or your ward, or the area presidency. It could come from, people in the ward who have a very specific, life experiences that are things they're facing right now.
How grateful we are for all of that. How amazing. I'm just so blown away. How amazing.
We expected to learn, but we didn't expect to get all these resources and to learn as much as we did. We're very grateful for that.
Well, it's been delightful to be with you. Thank you so much for the invitation. I really enjoyed it.